run through our new tool, our BI-GanttView tool. Okay, so today we're going to run through live our new software tool that we put together because numerous clients that we worked with, primarily on the Primavera side, P6 side, were struggling with getting the Gantts in the way that they want it in Power BI. So that's what we're going to run through. So I'm Nicole Jardin. I'm joining actually today from Ontario, and I'm the founder and CEO of Emerald. Sue Familia will be doing the showing you how you build the schedule and how you push the data over. And then Amy Paul is going to show you the tool in deep dive. She's going to show you how to build the different features and how to actually build the charts in Power BI. So as I mentioned, the common struggles. Well, we found that our clients didn't really like the potential outputs that they were getting in Power BI, and we looked at different tools on the market to just plug in to what we were doing with them, primarily with P6. Our P6 reporter, which is a snapshotting tool, takes the data out of P6 and then lets you report into Power BI with it. So that was our main focus. We didn't really find any of the plugins were giving the functionality that we needed. So that's really how this tool came to be, was to give a better output to our clients in Power BI. Now, although we're heavily focused on P6, you can use, once you're in Power BI, you can use data outputs from not just P6. It can be from Microsoft Project, it can be from Excel. So you're not limited in terms of what the source scheduling system is in putting the data out using our Power BI GanttView tool. So you're not limited. You don't have to be a P6 user to use this, is what I'm trying to get at. And in terms of the features, so as I mentioned, we did look at other plugins to see whether there's something already out there, and most of them were missing things. So we tried to capture that in what we put together, and we'll go through those in detail. So in terms of why Power BI, well, lots of people were using it. With their 365 package, they have Power BI, so lots of clients wanted to use that as their standard reporting engine. So we wanted to make sure that our clients could do the same thing in a very quick and easy way. So it's got the visualizations and the flexibility, and of course the shareability across your group. Now, how you actually use our component, our BI-GanttView, you bring your data in. So that is essentially through an import. We've got features that are going to work off of that imported data. Now, it's a Gantt chart, so of course we're expecting dates, but we also allow you to have numerous baselines, for example, and numerous milestone types. So you'll be able to bring your data in, build and customize, and then create the reports from there. Now, some of the key features we're not seeing in other tools already out in the marketplace. They didn't have milestones that you could show up on the top in the calendar. Lots of our clients like that for some of the key milestones. We also weren't seeing enough columns in the data sets to be able to show things like maybe different codes, maybe different people who are responsible, things of that nature. So we weren't seeing that, so we added that to the tool. We also didn't see enough grouping and sorting, layering, so we've added that. We've got multiple layers available. We didn't see good flagging of things like critical tasks and good label controls, so we've added that. And the color coding based off different codes and different fields. We were seeing a little bit of that, but not enough to be as useful as what our clients are used to with P6. So we're basically trying to enhance Power BI to get a closer look and feel to what we can achieve in P6. I mentioned the baselines already and the hierarchy. And sorry, a moment ago I said 3 layers. It was hierarchy I was mentioning, not the timelines. So the control of the calendar, the way the calendar looks. Again, there were some tools that had calendar controls, but they were mostly not that flexible. So we've added that to the tool. So this is our first launch. These are the main features that we wanted in the tool so we could get our clients happy. And, we'll go from there. If there's enough demand, we can add additional functionality. But this is our first feature. So we've been using the tool on and off for the last 3-4 months, and we've been adding different features to it with our clients' inputs. So that's really the way this came to be. So I'm going to have Sue take over, and she can run through and give you the overview of the data we're going to show you we're going to use P6, but it could be stuff you have in Excel. It could be stuff you have in Microsoft Project. And then she'll let Amy run through exactly how to use the tool in Power BI. So the BI-GanttView tool in Power BI. Okay, you can take it over, Sue.
Okay, will do. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen here so that we can take a look at P6 and look at kind of some of the setup that I've done for the projects that Amy will be showing you. So first of all, I have a project that I have already, it's in progress, it's been updated, but prior to, and it's been snapshotted as well, and prior to that, there were a couple of fields that I wanted to set up or needed to set up to get some of the data that we wanted in the BI-GanttView. So first of all, we have the ability to tag our milestones. So our milestone type here, this is indicating that an activity is a milestone and what type of milestone that activity is, or that milestone is, and it will be shown and labeled in the Gantt chart by default. So it's going to let you control coloring and shapes of those milestones, and will allow some filtering on those as well. So what I've done on my milestones here is I have indicated what type of milestone they are. And what this will indicate is when this is brought in to Gantt, the GanttView, it's going to show in my project. So I'm just going to pop over there really quick to show you what that's doing for me. So I've got my project sanction, my engineering complete. If I scroll over, I can see that I've got my other milestones in there as well. These are all colored differently. They all have different types of icons that are associated with them. So that's what setting that piece does for you. Now, another thing that I can do is that I can set this key milestone here. And what that will do is that's going to allow me to display those milestones at the top of my Gantt chart so that when I am looking through, I can see them readily visible at the top of my Gantt chart. Again, I can control the shape and color that appears on that Gantt chart. And I'm going to pop over again and show you an example of that. So in this one, you can see that because I've marked those, we have put them at the top and given them different types of indicators as well as the different colors if we needed to do that or if we wanted to do that. Now, additionally, what I can do is I can put in some extra fields. So there's no limit to the number of additional fields that you can display in your Gantt chart. It's just you prepare the fields in your data set, and then you're going to drag them into extra fields, and Amy will show you that during the her part of showing you the BI Gantt view. But an example is this responsible discipline. So I want to use this field to color code by my responsible discipline in my BI Gantt view. And then I also might want to group by these. I might want to, control using these extra fields. So each one of my activities, I have indicated what the responsible discipline is on that activity. Additionally, I can add some additional task labels. So by design, BI-GanttView will allow you to display, your project ID and activity ID and name, both. And then the critical activities are going to be indicated, your WBS, dates. However, you may have additional labels that you might want to set to allow you to enter information on those activities so they will appear in your Gantt chart. So I've set up this task label 1, and that I've put a little note or a value in there that can be shown when you go into that Gantt view. And again, Amy is going to show you how to incorporate all of this information into your Gantt view. I have another project here. Now this project has started, but this I've added and I've snapshotted it, so I have my initial project in there, but I've added some progress to it, and I've also rescheduled it and all that. I'm going to go in and show you that I've assigned my baseline, my initial baseline, to this project, so that when I snapshot it, using our tool that Nicole had mentioned called P6 Reporter, this is how I'm going to get that information over to Power BI so that I can use it in the BI Gantt view. So I've progressed this. I have not yet snapshotted it. So using our P6 Reporter tool, I can do that very, very easily. I can set my snapshot name. So what I'm going to use is my current project ID for my snapshot name. And then I can append that, I can designate that as a particular date that I want to show up as well. Now I'm going to use the data date on my particular snapshot. Now, with Reporter, I can also choose whether I want to just do, if I want to snapshot the project or maybe just the current baseline in this project. I'm going to snapshot the project, but I'm also going to add some depth to that. And so I'm going to process the project and those relevant baselines for that project. But I could just do, one or the other as well using P6 Reporter. Now you may get these snapshots or this information differently. I'm just going to use P6 Reporter as my vehicle, I guess, to get my snapshot taken so that I can use it with my the BI Gantt view. So in order to do that, I'm just going to set this to go, and it will go out and it's going to take that snapshot. And then once it runs, it's going to be available for me to bring in to Power BI so that we can use it with the BI Gantt view. Now, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Amy so that she can show you how you can set up the BI-GanttView chart. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to transfer the session to Amy so that she can do that for
All
us.
right, perfect. Let me set my screen share here. All right, so what we're looking at here is our BI-GanttView. So we're going to talk a little bit about what these charts can look like and show you a couple of examples that we've already built. And then we're going to show you the process of building a chart. So this first chart here is the initial snapshot of the BIGV01 Civ project. So that first one that Sue was showing you. So you can see that we've customized this chart to incorporate our company colors with the activity table along the left here and our activity bars in the chart to the right. We have these slicers along the top here, which is how we are choosing which snapshots to display, and these can be changed out as you wish. We have our 3-layer timeline here that Nicole mentioned, and you can see that we are currently measuring by year, month, and day. Our activity table along the left has been sorted into a WBS hierarchy, and it has collapsible sections here. You can see that we've colored our taskbars with our emerald green. And if we scroll down and to the side here, you'll see that we have our critical task colored in red. As Sue mentioned, we do have a milestone section here, and this shows our milestones within the charts. And they've each been customized to be a unique shape and color, so they're easily identifiable within the chart. So in this initial snapshot, we don't have any progress on our activities, as you can see by these empty activity bars. That's because this snapshot was taken at the very beginning of our project. So let's take a look at a snapshot taken 2 weeks into our project. So here you can see we've started to progress our activities. You'll notice that some of these bars have been partially filled. These show where we're at in terms of completing our activities. We are also now showing baselines, so we can compare our progress to the original schedule. So this is a good way to get an idea of progress in this project just by taking a quick glance. You'll also notice in this chart, as Sue showed earlier, we are now displaying our milestones along the timeline. As before, each of these milestones are a unique shape and color, and they can be easily identified along the timeline up here. You can also add a date stamp to these milestones to see the exact date that they are set, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. And there are specific data fields that do control whether or not milestones are being shown along the timeline or within the chart, which again, I will demonstrate once we go over building a chart. So in our next progress snapshot here, most of our activities have been completed. You can see that we have some ahead of schedule and some are a little bit behind schedule, and then others are right where we expected them to be. You'll also notice that our activity table here is a little bit bigger. It has a couple more columns. So these columns are configurable, so I can add whatever data I need to the table, making a new column so I can see my data all spread out in one place. So in this case, I've added original duration and task ID, but again, you can add whatever data you would like to see in this chart. This snapshot, if I scroll down, is also showing that label 1 field that Sue mentioned earlier. So you can see that that label she added, the piping design for EWPO1, has now been added to this task. So we are now able to see that exactly where we wanted it to be. All right, so next up, we're going to look at a different project. So this is that project that Sue showed you just before handing it over to me. So this is the initial snapshot of that project that Sue just updated. This is shown before the update. So you can see that none of the taskbars have any kind of progress in them yet, which will change once we look at that new snapshot that Sue took. You might also notice the timeline is different. So we have now set it to show the year, financial quarter, and month, just to kind of show off that we can adjust this on all three levels there. So these taskbars are all different colors here, you'll notice. So we're actually grouping these tasks by responsible discipline and coloring them accordingly. So as you can see, we have civil set as blue, fabrication is purple, we have construction as pink, and all the way over here, we have our commissioning as orange, and then down here, we have our project management as indigo. And you can see this all indicated by this responsible discipline column here. This is even easier to see when we're not sorting by WBS. So if I get rid of that label there we are, then you can see even better kind of how we are sorting these, all by responsible discipline. All right, so I think the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how we build one of these charts. So we'll start with this empty chart here. So as you can see, this chart currently has no data in it. You'll see along the right here that we have some panels. We have our filter panel, visualizations, and data. So this data section here, so this holds the data that we have pulled in from Primavera P6. You can see that we've organized it into activity or task data, baseline data, general project data, and then we have our snapshot filters. Our visualization panel here is how we'll be building our chart. So right now we are on the Build Visual tab of this panel, and you can see that there are a multitude of empty data fields here. So Power BI allows for the easy drag and drop of data into these data fields. So it's actually very easy to make these charts quickly and efficiently. So to start, we'll need to pull in some activity data. You'll see that this second data field here is labeled task. So if I go to this data column and open up the task section, I'm going to pull in task name. So you'll see that this populates the chart with the names of each task, but as we have no duration information yet, you'll see the task bars themselves are just dots. So to fix this, we'll need to add information to the start date and end date data fields here. So I will pull those in real quick. And you'll see that this creates the activity bars, now giving us the bare bones of our Gantt chart. Next up, we do want to add a baseline, which is just as nice and simple. I'll just scroll down a bit here, and you'll see there is also a baseline start date and baseline end date data field. So I'll open up that section down here, and I'll pull in our end date and our start date. And you'll see it immediately populates our baselines for us. We can add labels to our task and baseline bars if we'd like. And this can be done by scrolling a bit further down here, and you'll see there is a label section. So this is where we will add labels to our task bars. Previously, me and Sue showed you that you can add just specific task labels. You can also use any kind of data here that you would like to label these tasks with. So just as an example, I'll pull in task name, and you'll see it appears here. And we can also do the same with our baseline labels, which I'll use task ID. And you'll see those appear on the baselines. And just above these label fields, you'll see there is a % completion section. So if I pull in our completion data, we can now see how far along our tasks are, again, represented by these filled in sections along each bar. So you can see we have one task finished and a couple tasks started, but we still have quite a ways to go on this project before we are completed. So our chart is starting to take shape, but you might notice our activity table here is looking a little flat. So let's fix that by adding a hierarchy. So I'll scroll back up to the top here and go to this parent data field. So this is where we can choose how we would like to create our hierarchy. So you can use different criteria here, but just for this webinar, we'll demonstrate a typical WBS hierarchy. So I'm going to open up project here and pull in project name as our first level. And then I'm going to pull in WBS name level 1 as our second level, and WBS name level 2 as our third level. And you'll see as I pull these in, the hierarchy is built out, which also affects, of course, the placement of the bars. You can also change the way that each of these levels are sorted. So this is controlled further down the list under parent sort order. So to sort the different layers, you're going to want to pull in data in the same order as your hierarchy fields in that parent field we were just looking at. So for example, the first level of our hierarchy is project name. So if we were looking at multiple projects at once that we would like to sort, I would pull in, for example, project name to sort the projects in alphabetical order by name. Next, if I wanted to sort the first WBS level, for example, I could pull in WBS name to sort it alphabetically, and then do the same with the level 2. And you'll see that these are now being sorted alphabetically. I can also sort these tasks, using the task sort order data field down here. So I can sort them by name, by completion status, or anything else I wish to sort by. Just for this example, I'll use task name, and you'll see they're now being sorted alphabetically. There is also a custom date line section here where I can add in my date line. I'll just be putting in the data date, and you'll see that we now get a vertical line for our data date, similar to how you'll see in P6. So if I go back to the top of this list here, you'll see one of the data fields not filled in yet is task critical. So this one tells Power BI which of our tasks are critical using our P6 data. So I'm going to pull in this critical section here. And you won't actually see any immediate changes here once we pull that in, but that will change once I get to the customization section. But just before we start customizing, we have a couple more things to do to finish building our chart. So I'm going to scroll back down here, and you'll see there's an extra fields data section here. So this will add columns to our activity table along the left, depending on which data I would like to add. So I can see my important activity data at a glance. So I'm going to add 2 extra columns, going to add original duration and responsible discipline, and you'll see them appear along the activity table here. And I can always add more or less as needed. The tooltips section here allows you to add information that will appear in a little dialog box whenever you hover over a task. So for example, if I were to put in task ID here and then hover over a task, you'll see that it now appears within this little dialog box. Next up, we do have our milestones. So there are 2 sections for milestones. We have milestones and key milestone. So the data in the milestones field will determine whether we put milestones in the chart or not. So if I pull in our milestone type here and scroll down, you'll see that they are now appearing within the chart in our milestone section. The data in the key milestones field will determine whether the milestones will be displayed along the timeline instead of within the chart. So once I pull in the key milestone data, you'll see that they are now appearing along the top of the timeline rather than within the chart. And at the moment, they do all look the same, but these can all be customized individually. So speaking of customization, we've now built the majority of our charts, but it is looking a little plain. So let's start customizing some of what we've created so far. So this can be done by moving over to our Format Visual section of the Visualizations tab. So this is where all of our chart customization is done, and more categories appear the more you build out your chart. So we're going to start by fixing up our activity table here. So if I go into category labels, this is where I can adjust font size, font family, and the color of the font. And I can also bold it to make it stand out a bit. At the moment, I'm just going to bold it and leave it as is before moving down to our hierarchy section. So our hierarchy settings allows us to adjust bar colors for each level. And as an important aside, this adjusts the parent bars, not the task bars themselves. These are actually adjusted elsewhere. So right now, we don't have any parent bars displayed on our graph. But if you did want to display them, you would scroll back up here to General and then just toggle this Show Parent Bars. And then these are the ones that you can adjust in the hierarchy settings. So I'm going to leave these off right now, but just wanted to let you know that they are there and they are all adjustable and customizable. So if I go back to our hierarchy settings, I can set up our activity table to reflect our company colors, similarly to the snapshots that we were looking at before. So for example, if I wanted level 1 to be black, and then I'll make our level 1 text color white. Level 2 text color, I'll leave as black and have the background color be a nice light gray. And then our level 3 text color, I will set as white, and our background color, I will put as emerald green. So you can see now we are using our company colors for this activity table. You can also individually adjust the colors and fonts for your extra columns that you might have. And that can be done in the extra fields category here. So these colors are starting to look better. Our activity bars could use some work though. So we're going to be moving over into task settings just down here. And you'll see here, this is where we can adjust things such as our taskbar colors, baseline colors, outlines, margins, fills, etc. So the first thing I'll be doing is changing our critical task color to red. And then you'll see that any critical tasks we have are now going to be colored in red, making them stand out and easy to see when you look at the chart. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to change this baseline outline color to match this fill here. And then I'm going to make the baselines just a little bit smaller and give us a little bit more room in this chart. So while we're on the topic of changing task colors, you might remember that in previous snapshots we showed you, the task bars were colored by responsible discipline. So we can do that here as well. So what we do is we'll move over to our Build Visual section once more and scroll down to our task category data field. So I can pull in different types of data to group these taskbars depending on my needs. But for now, I'm just going to pull in responsible discipline. And you'll see that they immediately change colors depending on the responsible discipline. So if I move back into our format visual, you'll see there is now a new section here for task category settings. And this is where I can change the different colors for our responsible disciplines. So I can decide to group them as needed. One thing you might notice if I scroll over here is that this color, this one is still colored red. That's because the critical color will override the task category color. So if I just want to use task category colors, I will have to go back here and remove critical. And then you'll see it is now being colored along with the other ones in its section. Sorry. Next up, we can control the look of our taskbars in another way by using a legend. So back in this build visual section, if I get rid of our responsible discipline task category and then go back up to the legend section, I can now pull in information to create a legend based off of the data that I pull in. So for example, if I were to pull in task name, you'll see that a legend appears, sorting everything by task and coloring everything by task name. And then if I go into the format visual section again, there is now a new category for legend. And this is where I can control the color for each section I have. I can control the the text size along the bottom. And I can also control the position. So you can change it around kind of how you would like to see it. And again, you can sort everything and color everything according to your needs. So we're starting to look a little bit better here, but our task and baseline labels are looking a little small. So we can edit this by going into our data labels section. So here we can change all sorts of things. For example, if I wanted to change the color of the task label or the color of the baseline label, I can also change the font family, size, etc. So I'm going to make this baseline font a little bigger, a little easier to read here. And if I wanted to, I could change the position and alignment. So for example, I could put our task names inside the bars and adjust where in the bars they're being shown. I can also adjust the baseline position as well, have it on the left or the right, whatever I want to display it as. And again, I can also display all different kinds of things such as padding and the alignment, etc. So next up, let's look at customizing our milestones up here. So at the moment, they're looking pretty small and they all look the same. So to fix this, we're going to go back up to our milestone section. So we'll open this guy up here. And you'll see now that we have the option to change all sorts of customization around these milestones. So I can change each one individually. So for example, the stuff here is showing me what I can do to change our very first task milestone. So I can change the different fonts. I can make it a little bit bigger, easier to read. The text color can be changed, and of course, the color of the actual milestone itself can be changed. I can also change the shape, make it look like a square, make it a circle, and I can bold it if I want to make it stand out from the baseline one. And then I can go down and change the baseline as well. So the baseline one is just this guy here. So I can make that look bigger. Again, I can adjust text color, the fill, and the shape as needed. So again, very nice and configurable and easy to use. So I can do this for each individual baseline, as I said. I'm not going to go through each one, but just so you know that is possible, and I can adjust all of these ones along the top individually. So we're almost there. Our timeline is still looking a little bit plain though. So if I move, sorry, one more thing I forgot to mention that I mentioned earlier. If I go into top axis milestone here, I can actually display the date for each of these milestones, just if you want to have a little bit more precision on your milestones there. So now let's move into the timeline. So here you'll see I have a bunch of options relating to the timeline. For example, if I scroll down right now, it does follow me down the page. But if I wanted to pin it to the top, then I can leave it up there so I can see the chart a little bit better. I can also change the text color, the background colors. I can change unit height and width and the scale for each level. So if I wanted to make this one follow our company color scheme, for example, I can change these colors to match our color scheme, similar to how I did with the activity table. And then you can see that within just a few clicks, it looks exactly the same color scheme as this one here. And I can also change, as I said, the scale for each level. So for example, I can put the second level as quarter and the bottom level, let's say, day of the week. So you can see that it changes how this timeline displays. So there are numerous other little changes that you can make that we won't go over in detail here, just in the interest of time, such as the ability to change the look of your custom dateline, this guy here, and other adjustments. But overall, as you can see, this is a highly configurable tool, which allows you to make Gantt charts that meet your organization's needs. The last thing we're going to do for this one here is change this title, as it is a little bit of a mouthful at the moment. So we'll do that by going up to this general section here, opening up our title, and putting in our name. Just to make it easy, I'm going to put in Webinar Snapshot as our title there. And you'll see that now it says Webinar Snapshot up here. And again, as I said, highly configurable, so you can change all the appearances here. So you can change the size, the font, the text color, etc. And in these charts, we've only shown one project at a time, but you are able to display multiple projects in one Gantt chart, as well as multiple snapshots of the same project. So speaking of snapshots, let's take a look at the updates that Sue has pushed into the BI-GanttView. So I'm going to save the changes that I've made here. Oh, there we are. And go back into my workspace here. I'm going to reload here just so I know that I'm getting the correct data. And then if I look here, I can see that the data has been refreshed as of 10:19 Mountain Time this morning. So we should be seeing the correct data. So I'll open this guy up again. Let it load. Go into our edit section. And you can see that this new snapshot that Sue took, the updated one, has now appeared. So I'll click on that guy. And I will also open up the baseline for that one. And now you can see the progress that has been made since our previous initial snapshot here. So just as a refresher, this is what our initial snapshot looked like here. There was no progress in any of these tasks. And now when we look here, you can now see that we have progressed quite a few of our tasks. And we do have our baselines to show kind of where we are, whether we're on schedule, ahead of schedule, etc. And as you can see, it's nice and easy to get all this in and out of P6 and the BI-GanttView. And again, it's a very configurable and easy to use tool. So I hope you enjoyed and saw something that you like. Unless there are any questions, I'm going to hand the presentation back to Nicole now.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. And thanks, Sue, for running through the tool in detail and showing how all the updates and how easy it is to configure the tool to what you want to see. I was tackling questions as we were going. There weren't too many. I mean, it is fairly straightforward. So let's go further on if there are any questions. I don't see. Just put them in the question room or the chat room, and we'll address them. So let me tell you a little bit about our company. We've been for many years, 30 years, working as expert on Primavera P6, P3. Wow, that's how old and how long we've been doing this. So we have programmers on our team. We do integrations, we do tools, lots of add-on tools to the Primavera suite of products, the Oracle suite of products, so P6 and Unifier and AConnect, etc. So we have many software tools. One that we mentioned as a potential component to this is the P6 reporter piece, because it takes the snapshots. So one of the questions that was in the chat room was, can I just hook right on to P6? Well, you can do that. There are web services that do allow you to do that. But you have to be careful with that, in particular for two reasons. If schedules are live data, people are modifying them. And if you're pulling off the live schedule, then things can get changed and your reports may not be the way that you want out in your Gantt chart or up in Power BI or any third-party tool that you're reporting into. So we have some people that we see take copies of projects. That's a lot of work, and that's an option. And then the other option, of course, is what we were proposing now, our P6 reporter tool, because it lets you control the snapshots. They can be scheduled or they can be pushed by your scheduling team, and then you hook onto that. Okay, that way it's safer. Now, our P6 reporter also does a lot of calculations and things like that for you. So there's other benefits. So that's something to maybe explore on how to do this. Now, if you're interested in this software tool, the way that we're selling it is in the marketplace, up in the Microsoft Marketplace. So it's up there. If you want to know more about the tool, you can also reach out to Sue, or if you're in other parts of the world where Philippines and Donna, our regional manager, is easier to contact, then you can contact us that way as well. So the way that the tool is sold, it's per user. That's the way the tools are sold up in the Microsoft Marketplace. So it's per user. So if you have people putting charts together and viewing them, you need licenses for all those folks. And it's a subscription-based tool. It's relatively inexpensive priced. So all that information's up there. If you're having any trouble finding it, just reach out and we can give you more information as well. And Shannon is sharing the link to the Microsoft Marketplace if you want to explore that further. So the way it also works is you can download the trial. The trial lets you play with the tool and put some of your own data up there so you can play with it and take a look on, whether it's meeting the need that you're looking for. So you can do all that right in the trial that's downloadable from the marketplace. Did I miss anything else, Amy, Sue, on that? I think those are the main points, right?
Yeah, I think you got it all, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thanks for joining us today. And again, if there's something that looks good and interesting to you, go to the marketplace or reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. Okay, I think we'll close.